Moving on, Tech Mahindra quarterly numbers came out, quite a strong performance as far as Tech Mahindra, but considering the impact that Satyam has brought for them, the boost that Satyam has brought for them, the stock is up nearly 3%. Let's hear the management in conversation with NDTV Profit. We spoke to Sonjoy, Anand, CFO at Tech Mahindra, and Sujit, Baksi, President, Corporate Affairs and Business Services, to talk about and take us through the quarterly performance.
The numbers have been good. They're way above the street expectations. However, my concern is on the US dollar revenue. They've been flat on a sequential basis, but also they've been declining on the past few quarters. What's happening on the US dollar front? Can you take us through it?
I think on US dollar terms, we are sequentially flat. In constant currency, we have a 1% growth. To understand what's been happening on our business, the business from our largest customer has declined a little bit, but our non-BT business has grown 2% sequentially. I think that is also the line in which we were expecting things to move. You must also factor in another thing compared to the last few quarters, that with what happened in the Indian telecom sector, for those of us who were doing business with some of the companies which went out of business, that revenue also disappeared over the last couple of quarters.
Absolutely. Now, when you're talking about telecom, it's been weak, and you mentioned BT has declined. So when do you see the turnaround likely? Do you see it happening in the near coming quarters in this fiscal?
So the way we see it is that decision-making cycles are going to continue to be long, but at the same time there is significant opportunity in the market. We are in front of a number of deals. Some of those deals are at a fairly mature stage, and we hope to close them as we come. So overall, I think, as I said, the behavior will be customer by customer. As far as our largest customer is concerned, their spend is consistently going down. But the way to look at it is that our share of their business has consistently been going up.
Rest of the world, has declined 3% on a sequential basis. I'm guessing it's got something to do with Africa, and you have a lot of business with Bharti Airtel, and Bharti Airtel numbers when it comes to Africa was very dismal and disappointing. Has it extrapolated to Tech Mahindra, or are you insulated?
No, I think the rest of the world numbers, the sequential decline that you saw, has nothing to do with Africa. My recommendation on rest of the world for our business is to look at it over a longer period, because the business in Asia Pacific, Middle East, etc. tends to be large end-to-end projects. So there is a build phase and a managed services phase. The build phase will always tend to be lumpy and come in some quarters. So you can always have a decline from one quarter to another. But if you look at our revenues year on year from rest of the world, you will see that we have consistently grown significantly.
There's no pressure from Bharti Airtel in particular?
Actually, if you look at our results, our African revenue has significantly increased because we have got operation in all the 7 countries. So instead of decline, actually, I think there's substantial increase in African revenue this last year, last 2 quarters.
Okay. Also,
and even what Airtel is happening in Airtel, see, we run their operations.
Absolutely.
So obviously, as long as they have subscribers, we'll get calls. So I don't see any threat to that business.
Okay. And what about renegotiation with BT? You were renegotiating some of the tenders. What's the update on that? Have you taken a pricing hit because of this renegotiation?
There has been no change in our pricing. We had mentioned last quarter that the rebid process has stopped in BT for the time being, and our current view there is that we've reached a level of stability on the BT business. However, they continue to be a company which are going to look to decline spend, and that would have an implication for us, though as we've done in the past, we will continue to increase our market share there.
What about non-BT? What about AT&T? What has been the performance for AT&T?
So I won't comment on specific customers in terms of, but our non-BT business has grown, as I said, 2% sequentially in constant currency terms, and we continue to see a good pipeline and a good opportunity as we move forward.
So is it safe to say you've seen an EBITDA margin expansion of 440 basis points on a sequential basis? 300 you mentioned is because of the currency depreciation.
Yeah.
So the 140, the operational optimization is coming from non-BT?
No, see, the operational optimization is across the piece.
Okay.
It has a combination of measures. One is that we have looked at those projects which were giving us substandard returns or were loss making, and we've run a cure or cease program there.
Okay.
So either we've turned them around and they've become profitable, or in some cases we've decided to exit that piece of business if it could not be made financially viable.
Your interest expense, on a Q&Q basis has almost doubled. What's the, can you give some color on that?
As far as interest is concerned, what you're seeing in terms of the movement is because some of our loans are foreign currency, and therefore the movement in exchange rates also impacts that. In absolute terms, our borrowing this quarter are lower than last quarter. So from memory, they were about 1100 crores last quarter end. This quarter, they're about 800 crores.
All right, that's the management of Tech Mahindra talking about the performance. The stock's doing well. It's up nearly 3%, that too in a market like this. Reliance Broadcast